Well, good morning, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to the DoseNation News. I'm your host, Jake Kettle. Thanks for joining us. Again, in lieu of our podcast this week, I'm going to be doing a series on just what's going on in the world. What's going on in the world of psychedelics, of marijuana, of a lot of different things. So, first, I want to take a look at Canada today because there was interesting news coming out of Canada. A $1.3 billion medical marijuana free market may be coming to Canada, which is interesting. This is coming out of the CBC News in Canada. The Conservative government is launching a $1.3 billion free market in medical marijuana on Tuesday, eventually providing an expected 450,000 Canadians with quality weed. Health Canada is phasing out an older system on Monday that most likely that most relied on small-scale homegrown medical marijuana of varying quality, often diverted illegally to the black market. In its place, large indoor marijuana farms certified by the RCMP and health inspectors will produce, package, and distribute a range of standardized weed, all of it sold for whatever price the market will bear. The first sales are expected in the next few weeks, delivered directly by secure courier. Quote, "We're fairly confident that we'll have a healthy commercial industry in time," Sophia Glaranou, a senior official with the department, said in an interview. "It's a whole other ballgame." The sanctioned birth of large-scale free-market marijuana production comes as the Conservative pillory Liberal leader Justin Trudeau's campaign to legalize recreational marijuana. So, now, let me also note that Health Canada is placing no limits on the number of these new capital-intensive facilities, which will have mandatory vaults and security systems. Private dwelling production will be banned, and imports from places such as the Netherlands will be allowed. Now, they're claiming enormous potential profits. The revenue could hit $1.3 billion, and it says that the competition will keep prices in check. So the issue is that I have all of this sounds relatively good and interesting in the surface, but when it comes to people who have medical conditions and medical problems, who need medical marijuana, if the market dictates it to be too expensive, how are these people then going to get their marijuana? Is it going to be covered under Canada's health insurance plan? Is it going to be, are they not going to be able to get it? Is it going to be a huge expense for them to get? Are they going to have to go without certain things in order to get their medicine that month or that week or whatever, however often they receive it? So that's the real question that I have when it comes to this system, because when you have a free market system like that, it's not standardized across the board. We're okay. Well, here, you want to buy an eighth of this particular type of medical marijuana. It costs X amount of dollars, standardized across the board, no matter where you go. If I take a trip to Ontario or if I take a trip to here or there, it's pretty much going to be the same amount of money. And that's good for patients because it allows them to budget correctly. Because, people who have medical issues, their expenses go further than just medical marijuana. Their expenses may go as far as in-home care. It could go as far as needing to have a driver or someone to drive them around, having to use assisted facilities and things like that. So there are other expenses that need to be taken into consideration for the patient. Now, unless it gets covered automatically by Canada's health program, then that's an issue that I think needs to be worked out. But on a good part about it, it will revitalize a market that was very small, and it will bring a lot of money into the economy. So there are negatives and there are positives, obviously, to both ends. But again, my biggest concern, and this is always my biggest concern when they talk about legalization or when they talk about free market marijuana sales and things like that, is, well, what about the patient? That's I think what really needs to be looked at, is because originally they were started as medical marijuana programs, and they need to be kept in place so that people with legitimate medical conditions can go and get that marijuana. And I think that the same thing needs to be looked at in Canada. But again, a great boost to their economy. So we'll see how that plays out. And of course, you have to be approved by a medical professional. You have to get a prescription. You have to use a government-approved form and all of that. But Health Canada, reluctantly, it says in the article, established its medical marijuana program driven by court decisions from 2001 that supported the rights of suffering patients, even as medical science has been slow to verify efficacy, which I disagree with. I think that it's been very quick to verify efficacy, at least in the United States, from the studies that we've seen here. But moving on to a slightly different subject, still in Canada, though. Last Friday, this is from cannabisculture.com, a good website for those of you who have an RSS reader. You can go check that out and grab the RSS feed. It's a good one to have. Last Friday, Health Canada used some creative rule reading to approve a program that would provide prescription heroin to a small number of hardcore users, and the Conservative health minister isn't happy. But doctors, advocates, and users themselves are quite pleased, and once again, Canada stays on the cutting edge when it comes to dealing smartly with heroin use. Health Canada approved access to prescription heroin for at least 15 people who are completing their participation in Vancouver's study to assess long-term opioid dependence, which is testing whether prescribing heroin was more effective than prescribing methadone for users who have been proven resistant to conventional treatments. The move came after the participants and advocates have been calling for an exit strategy for the 322 people in the study. Salome began at the end of 2011 and has been enrolling participants on a rolling basis for a year at a time. The final group of participants will finish up at the end of next year. It built on the success of the North American Opioid Maintenance Initiative, NAOMI, a study in Vancouver and Montreal from 2005 to 2008. The study found that using heroin is cheaper and more effective than using methadone to treat recalcitrant heroin users. So, the information is there, the study is there, saying that this is more effective. The question is, why aren't you using it? Now there is a couple of there is one other line of treatment that that I've always been interested in and that I've looked into. I mean, obviously not for myself, but as a educational topic, and that's the iboga therapy that they have in some parts of Canada, which is proven again to be quite effective. Methadone is not the greatest thing, it's not something that you want to be on. Neither is heroin, but either way, what you're looking at trading one for the other. So if there is a greater success with the actual substance as opposed to with methadone, use the actual substance. The Conservative federal government is a staunch opponent to the heroin maintenance, but the participants can get there is a loophole where doctors will be allowed to prescribe heroin to quote graduating study participants under the ministry's special access program. So the program, a little bit about the SAP, it's supposed to provide different types of drugs, whether they're legal or illegal in Canada, as long as they're used for treatment. It'll provide that to Canadians with life-threatening illnesses on a, quote, compassionate or emergency basis. So that's how people would be getting their heroin prescription. So I also don't want to hype it up and make people think that, okay, everybody's going to be able to, use heroin. No, it falls under the special access program. But I think this is an interesting move forward because people are addicted to heroin. You could try to prevent heroin use, but as far as the treatment of the addiction, you have to really look at what's going to help the patient the most, because at that point, putting a moralistic judgment value on it is stupid. It's just stupid. I mean, the person is already in pain. They're already addicted. They already have a problem, and they're looking to help themselves. So put your moralistic bullshit in your backpack, okay, and think about how to help them, which is what is happening in Canada now. So there could be a lot of potential good. I would be interested in seeing how this develops, and how these patients do as this program continues and as more people are able to get into the special access program in Canada. But I have to say, Canada is making a lot of headway recently in their drug policy, and they've really been on the cutting edge for drug addiction treatment. So I have to give them a lot of credit for that. But I'll touch on this quickly before we go over across the world, across the pond, as some would say, to Europe, to Germany. But before we do that, I want to just say that I read another bad trip report called Hell and Back about 25-INBOME. And I really don't know what to think about this, because I hear great things about it and I hear terrible things about it. But I would say, at the end of the day, weighing all of it, if you're a user who's never used it before, if you've never used any psychedelics before, don't use it at all. And if you're a user who hasn't used, if you're someone who uses other psychotropics who has not used this before, I still wouldn't advocate people using it. Again, it's new, it's untested. There is a lot of volatility. I read too many reports, both from the underground and from the mainstream media, about people hurting themselves, about people going crazy, epileptic seizures, all kinds of stuff. I mean, certain people have died from taking too much. Kidney failure, all different kinds of stuff that I've read about, and also that I've seen in my own backyard here, where people had been taking 800 or more micrograms of this stuff every day for, God knows how long, a month, and they end up with some serious health issues, such as kidney failure, and that's not something you want to end up with. So really, I think the moral of the story, and then again, I just wanted to touch on this because we talk about it so much, and I'm tired of talking about it. It's just, you have to be very careful and really just stay away from it. Just stay away from it. And even when we spoke with Dr. Dave Nichols, he doesn't, who studied these substances, even he doesn't encourage their uses. He says, look, don't. I'm paraphrasing, but these things have only been tested in rats. They've not been tested in humans. There's no long-term studies as to what they do. There's very little information on what they do in humans. So again, be very careful, and in my personal opinion, stay away from them. Moving over to Germany, this is coming out of Berlin from the Global Post, which I thought was just fascinating. So there's a park in Germany called Gorlitzer Park. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it's a very nice district. It says, quote, yuppies and colorful windbreakers treat their pampered pets to a taste of freedom in the central dog run. And on the footpath surrounding them, every bench is occupied by young black men in baggy pants and baseball caps. And alles gut, they ask passerby in accented German. So apparently they say, well, meet Kreuzberg's friendly neighborhood drug dealers, which is the reason behind a controversial proposal by the borough's new mayor to legalize marijuana in the park. So police have raided the park more than 60 times during the first half of this year and filed charges against some 170 people. The roundups have led to little impact on the drug trade. So that's why the new mayor, her name is Monica Herman, says that the best way to remove the dealers is to legalize and regulate cannabis. Quote, if we want to gain control of the dealers and their products, we must manage the distribution, the Green Party member told Agence France Presse after taking office earlier this summer. So basically the plan that Herman put forth, Herman, excuse me, I can't pronounce the name, envisions ending aggressive policing in favor of opening of state-owned coffee shops staffed by counselors who would advise buyers about the risks of smoking dope. Okay, great. So more progress, this time in Germany, which is not surprising since the Netherlands, Amsterdam does have that legalization, and it's now beginning to happen in Germany. And there's a quote from Astrid Licht, who heads the local drug treatment center, and she said, we have about 30 to 40 years experience of prohibition, and we have seen that it doesn't work very well. And that's really what it comes down to. And all of these articles come back to, look, the prohibition doesn't work very well. No matter how badly you want it to work, no matter how badly you want to impose your moral will, it doesn't work very well. It really doesn't. People are still using it. There's still a market for it. It's still out there. People are going to continue to use it. And they're going to continue to partake. So there's really no way for you to stop this. The only thing that you can do is try to improve the conditions in which the usage is being done. And that's what they're trying to do in Germany. That's why it's what some states are trying to do in the U.S. That's what Canada is attempting to do. That's what many countries or some countries are attempting to do. So they have to be given credit at least for that. But moving on to our final article for today, coming out of The Economist, which I thought was great. Scoring drugs. A new study suggests alcohol is more harmful than heroin or crack. And I'm going to see if I can post the chart in the video, or I'll post a link to the chart in the video, and you guys could see the chart yourself. But it's on a scale 100% being maximum harm. Nothing goes past 70. But there's a differentiation between harm to others and harm to user. What's interesting is that alcohol causes the most harm to others than any other substance. Over heroin, crack cocaine, methamphetamine, cocaine, tobacco, amphetamine, cannabis, GHB, benzodiazepines, which are apparently not as harmful to the which some of these, and again, as you go further down the chart, they become less harmful to the user sometimes, or less harmful towards other people and more harmful to the user. But LSD, again, harm to the user far outweighs the harm to the individuals. I mean, it's not even registering on the chart. I can't even see the blue on the chart. Same thing with mushrooms. The same thing with ecstasy. Barely registers a small sliver for harm to others. So again, alcohol and tobacco. Well, not tobacco, but alcohol causes more harm to others than heroin and crack cocaine. And it causes more harm to others than pretty much the rest of these substances combined. And I'll go down the list. Methamphetamine, cocaine, tobacco, amphetamine, cannabis, GHB, benzodiazepines, ketamine, methadone, methadone, butane, quat, anabolic steroids, ecstasy, buprenorphine. Sorry, I can't talk today. And mushrooms. So what does that tell you, ladies and gentlemen? Where are our priorities, people? Alcohol is legal. Everybody can use it. Anybody can get drunk, right? And go sit home or go drive down the road or go beat their wife or, throw their kid out or whatever. Be nasty. Get into fights and arguments. Yeah, everybody can do that. That's good. That is more morally correct than letting somebody sit home and smoke a joint or take some mushrooms or do some LSD. Yeah. Oh yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I couldn't think of a better intellectual argument. My God. The neoconservatives have cornered me. What, are you kidding me? No, it's an absurdity. So I'm just done. I'm done talking about it. I'm done, at least for now, with that issue. It just pisses me off every time I hear it, because the alcohol is legal and the cannabis is not, and the I don't know what is another one. LSD is not, and the mushrooms are not. It's just mind blowing. Substances that cause far less damage to both the user and the other people around them are illegal. But alcohol, which causes a lot of harm to the user and a lot of harm to other people, is legal. But, that's the way these people think. Again, they're the smartest people in the room. They know what they're talking, because we have a moral responsibility, and that just doesn't it just doesn't hold up. It doesn't hold water. Anybody who looks at that argument with any kind of semblance of logic will just be like, this is ridiculous. This is absurd. Why is this legal and why is this not legal? Why are you throwing people in jail for this or for this? I mean, there has to be some kind of consistency, right? At least a little bit within our national policy, our national drug policy. At least consistency of evaluation, for God's sake. We don't even have that. But anyway, I'll get off my high horse. Anyway, thank you for listening to today's DoseNation News clip hour. No, it's really just a clip. It's a little 20-minute video of just me talking about a little bit about what goes on in the world of drugs today, and just some of the articles that I found interesting. So if you want to find out more about DoseNation, you can visit www.dosenation.com. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/DoseNation, and on Twitter, twitter.com/DoseNation. If you want to check us out on YouTube, go to youtube.com/DoseNation video, and on SoundCloud, www.soundcloud.com/DoseNation. So make sure to check that out. And if you buy books through the DoseNation.com website, we get an affiliate credit. It really helps us out. We appreciate all of the support. We appreciate all the donations that people have sent in, both through the PayPal form, the donation form. We really appreciate that. That helps us out a lot. And it really keeps us going over here. Helps pay for various things that we do. We really appreciate all the support. So thanks for joining us, and remember to keep an eye out for the next podcast, and also to keep an eye out for more videos. I'm going to be posting these a little more often, hopefully. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful Monday. I hope that everybody's having a good start to the week, and I will talk to you all again soon. I'm your host, Jake Kettle. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.